Well, a little creek, it was a little creek the other week that you could basically walk across, is now probably twice as much water. Love that sound, eh? I like those little boom boom sounds that you get from the end. It's a good sound, it means the water's getting aerated. Mosquitoes are back. That buzzing sound is not good because that's mosquitoes. Go away. That is a good start for the day. And I see blue sky too, that's even better start for the day. Yeah, I'll take that. That is just something very, very nice. Look at that. Might get thunder showers later. This time of the year all hell can break loose, so this is June in Alberta. Trust me, it can go from wonderful to baseball sized hail in nothing. Yeah. Right, I'm going to go and get set up, get my water supply for the fire and get going. Right, kind of getting set up. Whereas last time I came here, yeah, we got some nettles here. Nice. This little creek is starting to flow through the back here, which means we've had a fair amount of water up through here. But this can turn into a full-on creek when it gets going, so you have to be a little bit careful. That's why I haven't cut that tree. That one across there, that's my bridge out of here. Should it get really rough. Setting up for the day, I brought my little orange day pack with me today. It's just easier to carry smaller bits in, and I don't need my huge pack. I still have enough stuff with me, as always. If I need to stay overnight, I can. So I can have a little campfire today and have my water bucket. So always make sure you have a means of putting out the fire. So as you can see, I've got a really good creek down there, so I'm not too worried about water supply. And that bucket's about half full. There's about 10 litres of water. I've moved the fire across a little bit because I noticed there's a very nice young tree growing here, and I don't want to damage that tree with the heat of the fire because that will actually grow into a very nice tree. And it's in the perfect spot. See all this nice little green on here? Yeah, that's good. That's this year's growth, so it's beginning to get in there once the roots get going. So I put up some larger rocks between the fire. I've moved the fire across a bit. The fire was here, but it was a bit close to that tree, so I've moved it that way a little bit. Now a lot of people, when they're building a fire, they come out with all kind of this size stick and that size stick, and you need this and that and tinder and all this kind of stuff. What you need is to start with something that first off that'll catch a spark. And in this case, right smack in the middle of there, you'll see there's a cotton ball with some Vaseline on it. And over the years I have tried just about every way possible you can imagine to make fire, and I'm pretty good at some of them and pretty garbage at some of the others, but I can tell you now, cotton balls of Vaseline will take a spark just about every single time. That one tree that was leaning my way last time I was here is still leaning my way, so I'm keeping a close eye on it. I'm not happy with that tree actually, but not a lot I can do about it. The lots of small kindling there, ready to go, little tinder, smaller stuff, and all I do is I just pick it up. You'll see people putting stuff on fires, and this bundle, that bundle, and all this other kind of good stuff, which is great, but you know, start small, get bigger, dry the wood the better. Yeah, so I'm going to see if I can set this up somehow and show you how this is done. Right, so I've set this up on the ground iron, have my little tripod with me, so apologies if everything looks a little disjointed. Now, this I've mentioned before, this particular fire steel comes with a striker. It's stainless, I think. It's got a few little multi-tools on it, and it will throw a spark. It does throw a spark, but on the back of this knife there's a nice little flat piece cut in there, little piece ground out. That shuts off really good sparks, and all I need, there you go, one spark lands on the cotton ball and away it goes. It is absolutely the best way I have found of doing this, and some precision installed tinder and small branches, dump those on the top, let that get going in a little second, and hey presto, we have a campfire. It's very easy. Yeah. This stuff is super dry. Only problem is it burns through real fast, so I do have some bigger stuff that I've got there. Just let this catch through. Some people pile on huge amounts of tinder and small stuff straight off the bat. That can lead into a very large flare up. Really don't want to do that because singed hair does not smell nice. So let's just let that do its thing. Yeah, that's all down the side of there. Now in the bottom of here, before I lit the fire, I laid a few pieces on the ground. That just gives the fire a bed to sit on, and if you've got some nice dry wood, that gives it a nice base, because you've probably seen you can do top down fires or bottom up fires, doesn't really matter. But if you do it that way, hey presto, done. Now you see how quickly all that lot went up. That's a lot of heat coming off there, I can tell you. So I'm just going to let that die down a touch, and then I'll put this other lot on. And I've got some mosquitoes flying around, so might put a bit of green stuff on here in a minute. Yeah, because they don't like that. Go away, Mozzie. Right, let's put that on there. Now this gives you an idea of how fast this stuff burns. This is the other reason why I've just put a big bundle on there, because this entire forest, for hundreds and hundreds of kilometers in every direction you can see, is full of that stuff. People are out and they leave they throw a cigarette in a bush or whatever. That just shows you how quickly this stuff goes up. And I've literally just pulled these little bits off the trees here, and as you can see, it's going real fast. So always be careful with your fire. Always make sure you have it well contained. This is a riverbed, so it's full of rocks. I ain't too worried about that. Always make sure you have a good water supply, because before you light any fire, make sure you know how you're going to put it out. As always, secure all the tools that you used and all your gear, because next time you need it, you need to know exactly where it is. Right, there you go. And she is away. All we've got to do now is put fuel on it and it'll burn all day. There we go. The reason I like this spot is a very nicely placed chair. Nature always provides. If you look, it's there. It's one of those things that, you know, everything is there. You just got to look for it and find it. So I've got some smaller pieces here that once these flames have died down a little touch, we're going to stack a few of those on there. Always make sure you've got a pokey stick for your fire. It's very important to make sure you have a pokey stick, because you'll see little bits that need moving or whatever, and it's very tempting to pick them up and just move them. However, fire is hot. Fingers don't like hot. Yeah. Yeah, I'm really not overly comfortable with that tree. Let me have a look at this angle on this tree. Look at the angle of that one. That's the one I don't like, because if that thing drops, not going to get much warning, and that thing's just going to come straight down through all of that lot. It looks good for today. I think because I've set up here now, I think what I will do is use this site for now, and future expeditions I might move a little further away from that tree. It's hard to tell which way that tree is going to go. I know it's coming this way, but I don't want it to fall on, don't want it to fall on me, and I don't want it to fall on my gear. Yeah. That would be a bad day. Amazing how much all this stuff costs when you start adding it up. Yeah. I don't know what these flowers are, I can't remember. Very nice though, look. Yeah. Very nice indeed. You know, you start adding up the value of all this stuff. Well, there's what, 350, 450 bucks in saws I got sitting here with blades and stuff. So yeah, you could buy yourself a good chainsaw for that. Yeah, pretty much. Right, so Let me just concentrate on this, get some more material on there, and we'll get it going. Time to make a little something to eat here. Just move these around a touch. I put a bigger log in the middle, and I'm going to have a nice hot dog for breakfast. Not the usual breakfast food, however, it's something that it is food. It will keep you going, and they taste nice, and they're really easy to bring with you. Very easy to pack in and out. What I need is a little stick to hold that above the fire, but since these things tend to burn real fast, I think I'll just keep an eye on that. I've done that before. Get sidetracked and start looking somewhere else, and the next thing you know, oh, burnt. Yeah. When it's the only food that you brought with you, you have to eat it. Yeah. So best not to burn it too much. Yeah, I've got a nice green stick here. Try not to do this with a dry stick because it'll catch fire real fast and you lose your breakfast. Yeah. Oh yeah. He's warming up nice. Warm foods are good. I mean, these hot dogs are easy because they're all pre-cooked. Everything's pre-cooked, so I'm never worried about meat and what have you. If you're cooking raw meat, yeah, you need something. Ideally, you need a pan or something you can put it in, because it's great being out in the middle of nowhere, but you don't want to give yourself food poisoning. Yeah. That is not fun. That is super hot in there, I can tell you. Yeah. Oh yes, sound of the water, birds in the trees, thick rain clouds building all around me in that direction over there. Fortunately, I'm not over there, I'm over here. Blue sky that way, that tends to be where the wind and the weather is coming from, so that's good. Some nice coals on the side of there. Oh yeah, she's getting good. So, I'm just going to switch this off for a second so I don't burn my breakfast. I'll get back to you tomorrow. Right, breakfast is underway. Good way to start the day, eh? No much better than that. I did remember my tea today. My flask is hiding over there, just in case this tree falls. That's why I've moved everything over there, because if this tree does fall, I don't want it falling on me or my gear. So, as soon as I hear anything moving over there, I can move pretty fast from here. So, I just don't want it landing on that lot. Fire's doing pretty good. I always bring my, if I'm bringing like food for cooking, I always bring a chill pack and what have you. I have my little optional knife there. That's what I call my food prep knife. So I always tend to keep one knife just for food prep. Yes, you can use any of the knives you happen to have with you, and the one that you have with you is the most important one. You can have the best knife collection in the world, but if it's sitting at home in a drawer, it's absolutely no use to you whatsoever. So I keep that one. It's little optional number 8. Since I was about 8 years old, I've had those knives. Lost a few over the years, but I can tell you now, very, very nice to have those. Super little knife. Absolutely perfect little camping knife, and really good for food prep. So, yeah, always happy to have one of those with me. Yeah. Right, I need to pay attention to that fire a little bit, get a bit more wood on there, and I shall get back to you in a moment. Well, that was a very nice something to eat. So that was good. Oh, yeah. I always brought some. Always bring food with me just in case, because you never know if you have to stay overnight. But I see some people. Also on the subject of food, like if you're in an emergency situation and you find yourself lost, look at how much food and water you have, but don't starve yourself, because people will look at it and they'll say they got enough food for a day, for instance, and they'll think, oh my god, I got to make this last 7 days. But you don't know it's going to last 7 days. Statistically, if somebody gets lost, they're usually found in the first 24 hours. If it goes beyond 24 hours, you're then usually into a 72-hour time frame, because by that time they are really lost. And basically 3 days is your average. If you was out, if you was lost and nobody could find you, you hear these stories of somebody's been lost for 3 weeks in the woods. That is more the exception as opposed to the rule, because as long as you let somebody know where you're going and you have a security set up. So before you head out, like today, I have written down and a map of exactly where I've gone, literally to the GPS coordinates. So anybody that was out looking for me, if I didn't return, they have GPS coordinates as to exactly where I am, and if they can't find me based on that, they shouldn't be looking for me. But you do, years and years ago, many years ago, I used to do search and rescue and stuff, and it's actually surprisingly easy to find people in a, what I call a human habitated area, because people leave sign everywhere. You know, if you're out in the middle of a jungle somewhere, that's a whole different story, because the jungle changes around you so fast, it's actually hard to follow people. And unless you're native to the area, you're not going to know how to track somebody through that kind of environment. But through a forest like this, I know if I walk through this forest, I can tell if other people have been here. I generally, there's little signs, there's broken sticks, there's bent grass, there's just little clues that you see that over the years you just get to learn that, oh yeah, that's people, that's cows, you know. Cows make a much bigger path than people, you know. It's bears and stuff like that. You tend to, they're easy to find in the winter, because obviously you've got a nice layer of snow on the ground. It's very easy to see what you're sharing the forest with. However, this time of the year, not so much. You have to look for more little clues, as they call them. But forest fire smoke from a campfire is usually a pretty good indication that there's a human somewhere nearby and they have a fire. And it's easy then, just follow the wind and away you go. But generally speaking, people aren't lost for a long period of time. So look at the food that you've got, look at the water you've got, particularly the water you've got. Use as much water as you need, but try not to waste it, because water's the one thing that will keep you alive. You can go 3 weeks without food, but you can only go about 3 days without water. So I'd rather be much hungry than extremely thirsty, because if you're extremely thirsty, you get dizzy, you get disorientated, your judgment goes way out the window, and you start making stupid decisions, and that's how people get hurt. So you get lost in the middle of nowhere, stay where the hell you are, don't move around, because somebody knows where you went, because you told them before you went. That's the plan, and they've got a good idea of where you are. But if you keep moving, a moving target is much harder to find than somebody who's staying still. And if you can get a fire going, just the sheer technology and what have you that is available now, you fly a helicopter over this area that I'm in now with a FLIR camera on it, and exactly where I'm sitting will light up like a luminescent big white blob. Yeah, you'll see a very hot campfire with a guy sitting next to it, and you'll see a much smaller hot item, which I haven't mentioned for a little while. And yes, it's tea time. I did remember my flask. But if you flew over here with a FLIR camera, you would actually be able to see my tea. So trust me, they can see people. Yeah. Oh, and a campfire stands out really well, like a spare Watson at a boar's wedding. It really does stand out well. So if you can, get a fire going, make sure it's a safe fire, because the last thing you want to do is find yourself in the middle of a forest fire, because then you're really in trouble. Chances are you're going to die. And yes, people will know where you were, but the idea is to find out where you are so that they can rescue you, not come and pick up the bits. Oh, and let me tell you, that is damn good tea. As I've mentioned before, this little flask thing that I bought, it's actually a food jar, but it is so good for days like this. That tea will stay hot in it all day. And yes, I'm going to do it. Anybody know what time it is? Yes, it's tea time. There we go. Yeah, I got moaned at for doing that the other week, so I have to include that back in the video. Yeah. So, like I say, if you're out in the middle of nowhere, don't worry too much about how much food and water and that you got in there. Water's the key thing. But right behind me there's a massive creek. There's more water in there than I could drink in a lifetime. And I have the ability to boil water and clean it up. So you don't get much. That's all you need. Yeah, don't worry about too much else. But don't starve yourself on food. I've seen people, you know, they have a Nutrigrain bar and they cut it up into 6 little tiny pieces because they think it's going to last 6 days. It's not. All that will happen is your ability to function in those 6 days will rapidly decrease. So if that's all the food you have, eat half a bar a day, but eat it in 2 days, because your energy levels at the beginning are the highest, because you've just come from society where you have plenty of food and you're all topped up ready to go. So try to maintain that as long as you can. Don't starve yourself, because it'll actually make the problem extremely worse. So right, let me just move that log over on the fire. Enjoy my tea. Oh, that is good tea. Let's put that back on there. Not as easy done one-handed as you might think. There we go. Perfect. Don't want to lose that. Don't want any bugs in there. Right, I'll do some more in a bit. Well, definitely this time of year in Alberta, I'll just put some green stuff on here just to create a bit of smoke. As you can see, I don't normally like that amount of smoke coming off my campfires. However, I just put some greener stuff on there because it's mosquito season. And one thing mosquitoes really hate is fire and smoke. Yeah. I've noticed there's quite a lot of these horsetails, I call them. I don't know what their proper name is. See these things here? There's quite a lot of those around. I always think it's amazing when I see those things, because to my knowledge, now correct me if I'm wrong, to my knowledge they're one of the oldest plants on the planet, because they're related to all the giant ferns and the massive fern forests. Like we got forests of trees now, yeah, all these trees, yeah. But back in the day, back in like dinosaur days and what have you, there weren't trees, not like this. What there was massive forests of giant ferns, 40-50 feet tall, I believe, some of them. But those are related to them. There's lots of them all the way up through here. They're like nice damp shady spots like that. There's loads of them all the way down through. I was sitting looking earlier and I thought, yeah, horsetails. I don't know what their proper name is, couldn't tell you, but I call them horsetails. Oh, there we go, look at the smoke. I'll get rid of them damn mosquitoes. Oh, I'm going to hear a grouse somewhere. There's a grouse in here somewhere. They do that, they beat their wings, and it's like, goes dum 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 dum, like really fast. Really cool sound. You've got to watch grouse. I call them heart attack birds, because they will not move until you are just about stood on them. So there is one here somewhere. Look at this for a glorious day. I've actually moved around. I've got the coat off, got everything off. I've actually moved around into the shade here a little bit. It's going to take a wander down to the creek. Fire's contained, so that's good. Now take a little wander down to the creek here. Water's starting to flow through here. Once we get some serious heavy rains, and this time of the year, the last time I was here there was nothing flowing through here at all. Now we have water coming through here. So. Absolutely love that sound. Doesn't get much better than that. Just disappear over here through the forest a bit. Last time I was here, I actually stood out on that piece of rock there. There's another piece of rock a bit further out. And listen to that. There's a nice spider web through there. I don't know if it will show up on this camera very well. Trying to get the sunlight on it. Yeah, you can see it right smack in the middle of the lens there pretty much. There's a nice spider web, perfect spider web. Now, in general rule with spiders, if it's a messy web, stay away from it, because they're usually the more dangerous spiders. If it's a nice round, I'm not going to disturb it, because that's how the spider catches its food. If they're nice and round and very well formed, yeah, I'm not going to say nothing. If they just have one of those thoughts go through my head, yeah, then nice and round and very well formed, I'll leave that one alone for now. They're usually good safe spiders, but if it's a very messy web, yeah, leave that alone. Try to avoid those. Yes, I could just about walk across this creek there the other week without getting my feet wet. Not at all. Not so much now. Oh, there's one of those rocks in there. I don't know what this material is. Let me see if I can get it out. If I can show you. So this, it's like very purple. Most of this up around here, this is all limestone. Whole area all up around here is all limestone. I'm not sure what this purple stuff is. Somebody did tell me once. But, that is actually a really nice rock. Oh, look at that. There's some nice layers in it too. Cool. I'm going to let that dry out and see what colour it comes up. Yeah, right. I don't like being too far away from the campfire, even though I'm only about 30 feet away. I will head back up that way. Some people just wander off and leave campfires and stuff. Never, ever, ever. If you can't see it, that's no good. Because although that's sitting in there now, it's all perfectly good. It's a nice calm day, wind's calm. Doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. So I'm going to put that rock on there. Let that dry out a little bit. I want to see what colour that comes up. Right. Let's move those around a touch. This is why you have a pokey stick. Yeah, the green stuff I put on there just now is burnt up, so we're back to proper flame now. Yeah. Oh, that's some good dry wood in there. So this is how I like to have a campfire. I don't want huge amounts of flame, because huge amounts of flame consume huge amounts of fuel. Sorry. But if you have a fire that's just chugging along like that, nice hot coals, some decent dry wood in there, that'll burn. I can keep this fire if I wanted to. I could keep this fire going all day, no worries whatsoever. Not going to run out of firewood, not in the middle of here anyway. And you don't need a huge roaring lots of flames fire, because flames consume a lot of wood. Yeah. So I'm going to go and sit around here in the shade. Apologies for the shadow people. No, I am going to sit in the shade. See the way the wind's changed. See, just now it was blowing straight out towards the creek. Now it's turned around and come the other way, which is not bad because it makes the mosquitoes go away. Yeah. Look at that glorious day. Now on the weather forecast today, it said, quote, it's going to rain. And as you can see, I've got beautiful blue skies. Lovely. I have moved out from under the drop zone of that tree because I'm not convinced that thing's going to stay up there. I fully expect to come out through this forest one day and find that thing laying on the ground. It will actually make an incredibly good bridge across this area. So, because literally where I'm sitting, all down through here, I have seen this a raging creek about half the size of that creek I just was at just now down there. I have seen this one about half that size. So it's around here when it rains, it can really chuck it down. So right, I'm going to sit here and enjoy this amazing day. Look at that. The one thing I was going to mention the other day, let me see if I can find a small stick just to demonstrate this on. Right, if people are out collecting firewood, chances are what they're going to do, they're going to see a tree like this and they're going to cut the branch off here. Now when you cut it off, I mean this is only a small branch so you could actually snap it with your hands. However, if you cut that off there, when you come to cut up the piece of wood, you've now got to hold it somehow. So if this was a bigger branch, imagine this was like 2 inches round or whatever. If you cut it off here, you've now got to support this somehow to cut it up in the firewood. But if this branch is already 2 inches round, cut it here, yeah, because it's already supported on the tree. So if you cut this piece and then that piece and then that piece and then that piece, it's supported on the tree, so you don't have to put so much effort into cutting the wood. So actually a more efficient way of doing it. I mean, this obviously is only a very small twig, but if you were cutting, say, a 2-inch round piece of wood off a branch off a dead tree or whatever, then if you cut it here, you've got to figure out how to hold it. So cut it here and work your way back towards the trunk. Way easier, because you've got a built-in saw bench, i.e. the tree. Yeah, so it's way easier to do that. If you look through here, let's see if I can find a gap. Last time I came here, this was just a green swamp. As you can see, it's still full of algae and what have you, but there is actually water flowing through here now. Last time I came, this was just a big frozen swamp of garbage. Now, as you can see, there's actually water flowing through here. Water is the most important thing that we have. Look after it, keep it clean, don't pollute it. Keep all the plastic and garbage out of the water, because I can tell you now, mankind may think we're smart, we may think we're incredibly intelligent species, he says in inverted commas. However, I can tell you now that without good, fresh, clean water, this world would disintegrate around us very, very fast. Like within a matter of days, the world would be in complete chaos. And in the last little bit, we've had all this, put that over there, I'll use that as the next bit of wood. We've had all this COVID stuff for the last couple of years, and you look at the chaos that has caused worldwide. Imagine if suddenly the world's water supply became a huge problem. Within 3 days, society would collapse as we know it. The Western world would be pretty much garbaged in 3 days. In less than a week, everything that we've spent thousands and thousands of years building up would be worth nothing, because we don't have water. So look after it, keep it clean, keep all the garbage out of it. Don't use rivers as garbage dumps. It drives me bloody nuts when I see people around the world doing that. They should be fined, locked up, throw the key away and just leave them shackled to a wall for the rest of it in natural. However, yes, get out of politics, Dave. Looking after water and that around us is the most important thing that human beings can do. That's why if I'm out and about with something like this, I always have plastic bags with me so I can collect garbage and all that kind of stuff if I see any. Fortunately, where I live, the majority of people are extremely good at making sure there is no garbage, it's all picked up. Like if they go camping and what have you, 99% of the time people keep it all nice and clean and what have you. It's only a small percentage of people, like you'll go into a site and you'll find garbage and junk everywhere. It drives me nuts when I see that. That's just totally uncalled for, completely unnecessary, and to my way of thinking, you know, something that should be taken a lot more seriously than it is. However, having said that, like I say, where I live, I am very fortunate, and the majority of people do actually take great pride in the fact that we live in this amazing part of the world. I certainly do. I'm very thankful for living here. There's not too many places I've been in the world where I say, yeah, you know what, I could quite happily spend the rest of my days here. This is one of them. This is absolutely the best place I have ever lived. Very, very happy to live here, I can tell you. Yeah. So we need to look after the world's water supply. It's the only thing that keeps humanity and the rest of the world going. So don't mess it up. Keep it clean. Chuck your garbage away, don't throw it in rivers. Right, enough of the moaning and griping. Fire's doing very well. Every now and again, like you see, now it's all going back to flame, and there's some decent sized logs in there, so it'll just all turn back into hot embers in a minute once the flames die down. I prefer to have it just hot embers, not big flames. Flames use up a lot of wood, embers don't. So as soon as that dies down, that log I just picked up there on the side, that'll be my next bit of firewood I'll put on there, and that'll keep it all nice. Yeah. Keeps it going, keeps the flames small, keeps the heat high but the flames small. So yeah, look at this. My idea of a really good day. Can't get much better than that. Look at that. Perfect. Right, let's turn this off for a bit. Stop yabbering and get on with enjoying the day. I was saying earlier about people clues. Like if you're walking through a forest in the middle of winter, you can see tracks everywhere. It's real simple to follow. But I'm going to just show you a couple of little bits and pieces that to me are blatantly obvious, but I guess unless you spend a lot of time doing this stuff, you wouldn't necessarily immediately notice. Now if I'm looking at the ground here, I can see something immediately that tells me that somebody or something came through here very, very recently. If you look at these leaves, green, shiny. Look at this one. That's the bottom of the leaf. This leaf is pointed in the wrong direction. That's the right way up. Nice and waxy green. Do you know why their leaves are waxy, by the way? It's to actually slow down water evaporation off the leaves. If you've got a plant with really waxy leaves, it evaporates water much more slowly than say a very smooth pale leaf. So if you see waxy leaves, they're usually very water tolerant plants, and they don't lose a lot of moisture through the surface of the leaves. Because a plant will take up, say 100% of the water that it takes up, it'll only retain about 3 to 5% of the water. So, shiny leaf, upside down leaf. So I know that I've trod on that. I know I trod on that. So, leaf, leaf. So if you're walking through somewhere and you suddenly see the bottom side of leaves, you think, okay, something came through here. So then you start looking around the area, and you don't have to go very far before you find dandelion. See, the stem is crushed. That's been crushed right there. Somebody trod on it. Yeah. So little clues in an area. You look at this forest and you think, oh yeah, you'd never know if anybody came through here. But as I walk through here, those little things that I just see, yeah, I can tell by the colour of the mud. Right, for instance, if you look at the mud on this bank, bone dry, it's all the same colour, it's uniform, right? Now if I was to climb up here, see it's different colour now, but the texture here, this is smooth where it's been rained on. This is all rough now. Something trod here. Even though you can't see a footprint, there's no shoe print, you just saw me put my shoe there, there's no footprint. But I can tell something climbed up there or just went up there, because this mud is all nice and smooth where the rain has washed it flat. This isn't. This has got that sandy, see the sandy loose surface on here? So that tells me that something or someone went up that way. So if you came through here as a human, you're going to look at that and think, okay, if I was getting out of here, how would I get up there? And you look at that and you see this like sandy surface, you know somebody came through this way. There's more of those horsetail things here. Look at these. Okay. Some of the oldest plants on the planet, I believe. Absolutely amazing. Those things used to be as tall as the trees around me. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. So just looking at that, I can physically see different colour, sandy soil. This, see this? Broken stick. Yeah. It's still attached. Yeah. It's broken stick. It's a dry twig. So that broke very recently, and you can see it's still the colour of the wood in there. I know that broke recently because I broke it. See? Yeah. So those are the little things that you're looking for if you're going through a forest and you're thinking, hey, I wonder if there's any people or anything else around here. Those are the things you can look for. This, obviously, unfortunately, I did stand on that. I've been trying to avoid standing on the plants. However, when you walk around an area, it is kind of inevitable, I'm afraid. But those are the little things that you look for that you may miss if you're not looking for them. But I've been doing it because I've been doing this stuff pretty much all my life. 50 odd years I've been doing this stuff. I'm nearly, holy crap, I'm nearly 60. Good grief. Anyway, yeah, I've been doing this kind of stuff. My first camping trip was when I was 5 years old. So I really got into this stuff then. And then my first out in the middle of my own camping trip was when I was 8. So I've been doing this a while. And these are just little things that you learn as you go along. But you learn to read the forest around you. It's like a road map. If you know how to read the map, it tells you what's going on. Deer and stuff, they don't tend to leave too many marks like that. And deer going up a bank like that, generally speaking, they would just hop straight up it. They're not going to even touch that bank. They would just go up there in one bound. I wish I could do that, but however I can't. You watch a deer come out of a gully like this, they literally just stand at the bottom, boing, they're at the top. Done, finished. Yeah. And they don't make any sound while they're doing it either. So if you're out in a forest like this, and I'm surrounded by pretty dense fallen down forest, there's bits of broken trees everywhere, it's very hard for a big animal to walk through this forest quietly. There's only a few things that can do that. Deer and cats. Like cougars and that, there's a lot of cougars and that up through this way. They're very, very quiet. Wolves are too. A wolf can walk right past you and you wouldn't even hear it. You'd never know it's there. But people worry about bears and stuff. Yes, they can walk incredibly quietly, but through a big forest like this, because they are a big animal, they are going to make some kind of noise. And being near a creek, you'd be surprised how that creek noise actually muffles a lot of the sounds of the forest around you. So always a good idea to be aware of what's what. If I was camping and spending the night, this is not a spot I would camp in. A, because it's cold, because it's in a creek bed. It's going to be the coldest part of the area. So I would certainly head out of these big trees, because you never know when any one of these trees is going to fall over. and they do. Even coming in here today, I found several trees that weren't down 2 or 3 weeks ago, and now there's big trees that are like a foot, 2 foot round that are laying on the ground. And we haven't had any big windstorms. They just fall over. That's what trees do. Yeah, they get old, they die, they fall over. You don't want to be camping anywhere near that. Down in here would be cold anyway, because cold air obviously sinks. You've got the river down there. That's muffling all the sounds around you of the forest. So you can't hear if there's anything bashing and crashing through the forest. So this would not be a good camping spot. Do not camp in spots like this. Although it seems ideal, it's not. Yeah. Right. I'm going to have another cup of tea, I think, and see if I can move those coals around a little bit. That's how I like to have a campfire. See, if you look, it looks like it's not really doing anything, but I can tell you, even here, I mean, this is a bit hot for the camera actually. I can tell you now, just with my hand here, that is hot, like really hot. So that's all coals, and that's how I like to have a campfire. I don't like huge piles of flame. That's good for getting it going, but once it's going, let it do this. I could keep this campfire going all day on very, very little wood, and that's the way to do it. It's good, eh? Yeah. Right, I am going to have another cup of tea. My flask is hiding in the gap there. My water bucket, I'm absolutely made up with this water bucket. It's brilliant. Just folds up, sticks in my pack. Done, finished, out of the way. Yeah. Yes, that was my old pack. That was one that I've had for a very long time, that thing. But unfortunately I did fill it up pretty quick, so that's why I bought my new pack. I have the Rush 24, which is perfect size for me. I don't need anything bigger than that. And as Mors Kahansky used to say, the undisputed guru, if you like, of bushcraft and all this kind of stuff. He used to say, as he said, the more you know, the less you carry. Well, he used to put everything in like a 2-litre pot. I am nowhere near that level of skill, I'm afraid. It's nowhere near. I need slightly bit more than a 2-litre pot. But he used to be able to do that, and I really like that saying. The more you know, the less you carry. And hats off to you, Mr. Moores. Yeah, inspiration to many generations of people that do this stuff. So, right, that is a perfect campfire. Next to no smoke coming off it. And just nothing but hot coals in there, really, smouldering away. Right, I'm going to have a cup of tea and enjoy it. Oh, it's just started raining pretty good, so it's just eased up a little touch. I just caught in a little bit of rain there. It's starting to rain, but it's supposed to rain for the rest of the afternoon, and we can get into thunderstorms. And this is not a piece of forest I want to be in the middle of thunderstorms. Get a microburst come through here, these trees can start falling like matchsticks. So I have soaked the fire down. It is completely stone cold. I've put 2 buckets of water on it, stirred it all up, more buckets of water, stirred it all up, and it's about to rain on it heavy for, I believe, about the next 4 or 5 days. So exactly what the forest needs. This forest will suck this water up like it's going out of fashion. Exactly what it needs. You know, I've put a few rocks on the top there. Just make sure nothing's going to move. But everything's absolutely stone cold in there. And that's how a campfire should be left. You can soak it down. If I was staying here longer, if it wasn't about to absolutely pour it down, I would let that cool right off, make sure there's nothing in there. I can put my hand in there, it's stone cold. And it's really wet now, yuck. So I just had about 20 litres of water all over it. So the next time I'm out here, I will scrunch all the carbon up into nothing, all the charcoal. And that'll all get washed into the ground pretty good. It helps fertilise the ground, and I will scatter these rocks all over the show. And you'll never know I was here. But for the moment, I will let that sit there for a second. That tree over there also made a very nice bench today, so that was good. Everything cleared up. Now, apologies there, my battery died literally halfway through what I was saying. Alright, that's how campfire should be left. Stone cold, soaked up, stirred up, soaked again, and soaked again, just to make sure. Especially in amongst all the rocks. Always pour water in amongst the rocks too, because you'll be surprised how many embers that can sit amongst those rocks. So I've soaked it right down. But as I was just saying before the battery died, we are in for several days of rain. It is going to get pretty wet out this part of the world pretty soon. It's June, all kinds of strange things can happen. So I'm going to head out. As you can see, raindrops are getting bigger. So, yep, time for me to head out, because there's a lot of creeks in here that I have to cross to get out of this area, and the harder it rains, the harder they are to get across. Right, okay, I'm off. All nice and tidy. That's how it should be left, just like that. Look at that. Perfect. Right. Time for me to go.